Hey Hamster! So for this review, I was thinking of announcing the video and then not actually releasing anything for about a decade. Oh god, what is this, Kingdom Hearts 3? No, that wouldn't be long enough. I still smell Square Enix. Or maybe we should announce the video and show little snippets of it and then completely change everything about it years later. Oh, I definitely smell the Squeenix. Even better, let's split the video up into an untold number of segments to be released with an untold number of yearly gaps in between. The Squeenix is strong with this one. Wait, Final Fantasy VII Remake finally came out? I thought this day would never even be allowed to happen. Well, to be fair, the original game is huge and would take an insane amount of time to faithfully remake, so this is actually part 1 playing through the events of Midgar. The front of the case doesn't even mention that, so that's kinda false advertising, but regardless, lucky me, that's about as far as I ever played in the original anyway. Wait, why? It's considered to be one of the best games ever made. The combat felt more like I was fighting the menu than the monsters. The story was long and slow and full of tons of reading. I just kinda lost interest. Hey, well, hopefully this remake can fix your original problems with the game while still somehow satisfying the longtime fans of this classic. I just want to see Cloud in a dress. So you had some issues with the gameplay back on the PS1, but how does the remake play? Hamster? It's perfect. Oh, don't oversell us. I know you're not even a big fan of Final Fantasy to begin with. Then let me try and recap all the changes. For one, the combat is action-based instead of turn-based now, but it's still got a really inventive time-based system called ATB, so the game still feels like the original. I love the idea of ATB. You build up charges by attacking and you can spend them on what you would normally be using turn-based actions to do, like using items or materia. Something about the combat itself just feels awesome. Each character plays so unique with tons of weapons and abilities to customize that gameplay always feels fresh no matter the style or situation. Each weapon has its own skill tree to further customize each variant option of each character. With 6 unique weapons per character, that's a ton of options. I also got lost in menus in the original a lot, and with all this upgrading, you'd think that it'd be hard or confusing, but it really isn't. Materia even naturally levels up to stronger materia as you fight, so you don't even need to swap as often. You can seamlessly swap between characters in battle and issue commands with their ATB during a near pause slow-mo mode, so you get more time to think, but also can't wait around forever just like in the original. But your allies won't fill their ATB very quickly if you don't jump from character to character frequently, so play as whoever is best for the situation without neglecting your backup, and don't be surprised if you lose because you only fought as Cloud the entire time. So, is there anything we don't like about the gameplay? Well, some ATB attacks can get annoyingly interrupted. Like when you need Aerith to cast a quick Curaga, but she flinches mid-cast to a monster's attack. The ATB is gone, and your ally is left unhealed. Even worse, your ally gets killed during Aerith's spell windup, and she still casts Curaga, wasting both her ATB and her MP on a corpse, doing nothing. I understand how that's annoying, but imagine how OP your team would become if your ATB wasn't depleted on attempts like that. You would constantly break the game with constant attacking and healing. Right, and actually I like the difficulty where it is, so honestly I don't really have any gameplay complaints at all that don't just come off as nitpicky. Even when it turned into a dance-off rhythm game to convince someone to turn you into a woman. I didn't realize how badly I needed Cloud dancing in my life until I had it. Now, this department I feel weird about. Some segments look absolutely stunning, whereas others are totally willing to shove a low-poly flower with torn textures in your face for an unsettlingly long time. Now, come on! Though the game is only covering the events of Midgar, it's predominantly cut short in order to make sure that the characters and environments look absolutely stunning. And let me assure you, they do. Some segments I'd run through and catch a glimpse of a disgustingly messy corner with disappointingly unpolished edges and bland textures stretched to the limit. You do realize how long this game still is, right? They couldn't possibly have every nook and cranny that most players will blow right by, taking up valuable resources. I even remember some bits where the awe of looking at the massive city expanse of Midgar and wondering how it's all being rendered so well was shattered, because I noticed low-resolution pixels in what I thought was the magnificently modeled view was actually a low-res skybox. Do you even hear yourself? I'm just saying some parts needed a little polish. Look, the characters, environment, combat effects, motion capture, user interface, and even the vast majority of background details most players would glance right over all look spectacular. Except for the shut up! I hope it's not unfair to say here, but compared to the original, the mere addition of fully voiced characters turned an otherwise long, tedious read into an entertaining cinematic movie. Since this is just Midgar, they really buffed the original story, adding tons of side quests and extra boss fights. Our playthrough clocked over 40 hours in the end, and there's a ton of extra post-game achievement hunting still to go for. Oh, and in case it wasn't already evident, you should check out our playlist of live streams showcasing the game in full, shameless plug. Even if you know the original story, there's so much new stuff added, fleshing out the original cast with side quests and extra missions that you'll find a new appreciation for this game. Keep in mind though that this is still only part 1 of who knows how many. There are some new elements introduced, not even in the original, that are not wrapped up at all in this installment. The game does an outstanding job, however, in making you really care about its characters by giving them all plenty of time to develop and grow in the world around them. I'm really impressed with the no-name characters and sideshows who got a lot of development like Jesse and Wedge. The facial and other motion animations and great voice cast help sell the effect that these are all real people. It helps a lot when your game looks this nice as compared to PS1 graphics, especially when looking at the suffering bystanders from Shinra's malicious plots. The end does add some very strange and seemingly shoehorned segments for the sake of having a climactic final boss at the end of this part, but I was honestly having so much fun, I was glad that it happened. Hold on, we didn't actually say anything about the story. Mr. Blonde Bedhead bounces between being awkward around women to blowing up power plant reactors. Well, I mean, it's a JRPG, so you're probably all familiar with the accumulate party members and adventure around the world defeating enemies and main villains song and dance. The true battle of length versus girth. And if you were concerned about the remake dulling down or even removing all the silly humor from the original to fit the modern Final Fantasy themes, don't be. It's so stupid and I love it. If you're a fan of the original, you'll lose your mind over this soundtrack. There's so many versions of some popular tracks you'd otherwise hear over and over just to keep things fresh for each situation. And they're all great. I want to take a moment to point out that the voice cast for absolutely every character is perfect. When voicing someone from a game that has no voices at all, it's hard to find that perfect sound that we all heard in our heads for the characters when reading. The fact that you hardly even notice the voices standing out is what makes them fit so perfectly, as they all play their characters in a way that makes them come alive. I'd love to have the full soundtrack on my computer, but a certain game developer never watched Barney enough to learn that sharing is caring. This is easily the game of the year for me, and it has nothing to do with a certain virus preventing the rest of the competition from even releasing anything. Just think about this. Cloud needs to wear a dress, and Don Corneo still needs to choose him over the dolled up Tifa and Aerith. If you even remotely enjoyed the original, this remake will blow you away. 2 words. Fat Chocobo. The positive gamer in me had high expectations for Final Fantasy VII Remake, but was still somehow blown away with it, giving it a perfect 10 out of 10. This coming from someone who's not even a huge Final Fantasy fan, this game's gameplay, story, character direction, graphics, soundtrack, and overall presentation left me wanting nothing but more. And lucky for me, this is only part 1. The critical gamer in me fought long and hard over whether to agree with my positive side, but begrudgingly decided on giving Final Fantasy VII Remake a 9 out of 10. It's definitely solid. It's easily one of the best games on the console. And though my problems were minuscule and nitpicky, holding this game to high standards only gives me hope for an even more impressive experience in the upcoming games. But what do you guys think? How does your impression of Final Fantasy VII Remake hold up to the original? Tell us how your positive and critical sides rate the remake in the comments below. But if you've become so nostalgia blind to believe that the original is still superior to this modern masterpiece, then you're just playing with yourself. Hold on, Kupo. We need to thank our amazing Patreon members: Atomic Thomas, Ben, Sid, Denny, Erica, Kai, Rowan, and Squat Fam. This is really weird. And thanks to Kim, of course, for drawing Cloud Frog on the whiteboard, Kupo. Remember to like the videos and subscribe for more, and we will see you all in the next video. Kupo.